Hey guys, welcome back to My Unpopular Opinion. Thank you for tuning in. So today I'm going to be talking about Nene Leakes and Bethenny Frankel, who are two original housewives from the Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of New York. Now, we know that they both worked for Bravo for a long time. They both are experienced and know what they're talking about when it pertains to reality television, Andy Cohen and Bravo. But recently, Bethenny Frankel has been involved in a conversation about creating rights and protection for reality stars, Bravo celebrities, and housewives. She talked about the things that they don't have, the lack of protection that they have, the lack of knowledge that they have, and how they get the short end of the stick. Now, Nene Leakes chimed into this conversation because Nene Leakes has been speaking about the injustices that has been done to her by Bravo and Andy allegedly for years at this point. Nene has been in a lawsuit with Bravo, and so Nene came out saying that she's been speaking about these things, but she understands that she's not going to get support that Bethenny is getting because people are listening to Bethenny and rallying behind Bethenny. Now, in my personal opinion, I think it's an obvious reason as to why. For one, Bethenny is still cool with Andy Cohen. No coincidence there. And then two, Bethenny is a white woman and Nene Leakes is a black woman. And we know that when black women speak, no one cares and no one listens. And whenever a black woman talks about anything wrong that has happened to her or anything that she doesn't agree with, and when a black woman just takes whatever she's given, then she's good and she's rewarded for that. But when a black woman speaks out and says, no, I know my worth, then it's like, oh, who is she? You know what I'm saying? So in this case, it's the same thing. Nene has been talking about Andy being shady and Bravo being shady, having racial biases and all those things. Now, Bethenny's talking about a union and things like that to protect Bravo celebrities and reality stars as workers. That's what she's talking about. But she's not really speaking about any of the racial biases or injustices in the system because, of course, she wouldn't want to speak about that because she doesn't feel that because she's white. It doesn't affect her. And Bethenny Frankel has come out and said so many things about Andy Cohen and Bravo over the years. Bethenny has trash talked Bravo. She's trash talked the Housewives. She's trash talked Andy Cohen. She's trash talked all of the recent reboots and different things that he's been doing. Yet for some reason, he and herself, they remain cool, and she can still do whatever she wants. If she wants to come back to Bravo, she can do that. She can negotiate what money she wants. She just touted in a video that she was the highest paid housewife. Well, that's no surprise because white women always get paid more than black women in the work field anyway. Now, you're the highest paid, yet you were not the most talented or the most accomplished. Yes, she had businesses, but people like Nene Leakes has been on Broadway and done so many other things, been on Glee, actual shows, you know what I'm saying? And so we see that Nene has more of an impact, more talent, more one-liners, more funny memes and everything. Nene is really larger than life as far as a personality. Yet a person like Bethenny can be mediocre and still get rewarded, and then even when she speaks out of turn, nothing happens. Yet Nene is shunned and rebuked by Andy Cohen and Bravo, and that is unfortunate. And it's not just with Bethenny. Vicky Gunvalson has been pretty problematic according to a lot of people as well. And Vicky is still invited back to Bravo. She still gets to have a relationship with Andy. And Vicky has sued in the past. Vicky has sued producers from Bravo as well as another castmate before. And so people say, oh, well, Nene's suing. Well, Vicky has sued before, and she still has been on Watch What Happens Live. She's still, speaking with Andy. So what makes Nene different than those ladies? Is it because she's a black woman speaking out and they were white women and they can say what they want? I don't know. I also want to note that Bethenny did have her own talk show for one season and it was canceled. But that is something very successful that she did that Nene didn't get to do. By the way, fun fact, Nene was supposed to get the talk show on her own. It ended up falling through because of some dealings with Wendy Williams, if you guys heard about that. But yeah, Nene would have had her own talk show as well, and it probably would have went on longer than one season because she's more entertaining. But if you guys recall, Omarosa did go on the Bethenny Frankel show, and she made a great point to Bethenny because Bethenny was trying to use Omarosa for ratings by arguing with her. But, asking her what her talent is. And Omarosa said, sweetie, I've worked in the house, the White House. Like, what are you talking about? She was like, you as a white woman, you get to be mediocre and still get rewarded for it. And and Omarosa was referring to herself, and she said, as a black woman, I have to be exceptional to even get any recognition for anything I do. And that applies to this situation as well. You know, Bethenny can be mediocre compared to someone like Nene Leakes, and yet, you know, Nene gets shunned and you get rewarded. It doesn't make any sense. But back to the topic at hand. So recently, Bethenny did speak about her not being a disgruntled ex-housewife, and that she has no personal gain, so she can still work with Andy and everything like that. Well, Bethenny, you don't have a reason to be disgruntled, sweetheart. You don't have a reason to be, because as a white woman working for a white network, you get praised and you get all the rewards and you get treated just fine. You got pampered and treated like freaking royalty. So you wouldn't have a reason to be disgruntled. You haven't had any racial biases or been mistreated or anything like that. So as a white woman, of course you don't have a reason to be upset. So if she was referring to someone like Nene Leakes being upset, you guys have two different experiences, and it's very clear as to why. Now, I don't expect Bethenny to understand, because in the past, Bethenny has gotten away with saying some very toxic racial things on Bravo about Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm going to let you listen to the audio. Here it is.
I have to say in general is that I think that in Atlanta, they don't get to a point. It's good. Your weave is busted. Your tracks, your this, your ratchet. They just yell insults to each other. So you never get anywhere. You have to you're ratchet because, and here's my proof, and therefore, so you can get somewhere. Yeah, but
how would you handle Candy?
So there it is right there, a white woman being allowed to berate and disrespect a whole cast of black people on Bravo. She just sat there and did a whole quote-unquote black scent, and then diminished all the housewives of Atlanta, and pretty much was calling them, and I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, you can see what she's insinuating, that they're ghetto and illiterate. And that's sad, because on Housewives of Atlanta, it's been the highest watched for so long at a point in time, and they've had so much dialogue and good content on Housewives of Atlanta, especially when Nene and people like Phaedra and Portia were there. So to see her making it seem like black people are illiterate, and these are pretty much her co-workers who worked for the same network, and she's doing it in front of the boss and CEO Andy Cohen, and he has no issue with it, and that's because he, in my opinion, enjoys those things, and he is the one who's been accused of all these racial biases. So we can't expect either of them to actually care or see something that a black person is saying or talking about the treatment, because they don't care. And in my opinion, it seems like they have these racial views that they're trying to hide. So to me, Andy Cohen does not actually care about black people or people of color. I think he just looks at them as a dollar sign that he can make money off of, but he doesn't truly care about his black employees. And it's clear as day, that's why all his favorite housewives are always getting in trouble for saying racial things, such as when Garcelle had to deal with all the stuff she had to deal with on Beverly Hills, being the first black woman. First of all, that was weird in itself, to make it seem like no black women were in Beverly Hills, and then now you finally get one, and then she's treated like trash. That's why Lisa Rinna, who has made numerous racial statements towards black people and other races, has been on the show for so long, and then was great friends with Andy Cohen, and they didn't start to pressure her or get rid of her until all the backlash started happening, and people were putting the pressure on Andy, like, why does she get to do this stuff? Like when Kyle and Kyle's husband were laughing at Garcelle's son being cursed out. Like, all those things are little racial undertones that had to be explained, and all that came after Nene claimed that there were racial biases and racial issues at Bravo, according to her. So y'all say she's not speaking the truth and she doesn't know what she's talking about, then you start to see racial things unfold on Beverly Hills. Then also last season 14 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, the Atlanta girls had to reshoot their own photo shoot because they were given some cheap little low budget shoot, and for Atlanta they didn't deserve that, so the women had to team together to reshoot their shoots to get a better shot. for the show. Now, some people were talking about that, like, okay, but some of the other franchises have these amazing shots, and then Real Housewives of Atlanta has to actually fund their own. You know, it's just different things that are coming out. Andy does not care, and Andy is the main one shooting these missiles towards Nene, like trying to edit her out of flashbacks, trying to blackball her allegedly, doing all these different things, and then he'll use his token black girls like Candy Burris or Kenya Moore or even Cynthia Bailey. When he was like, oh, Cynthia, he brought her on his show, his night show, Watch What Happens Live, to pretty much berate Nene and say, oh, well, Cynthia, you're just so, even though he kicked her off the show, you're just so graceful and you just handle everything with such class and you're just so grateful. It's like grateful. So that's what you want black women to be, just grateful for any scraps they get, and you don't want them to speak up about when something wrong is happening, or you don't want them to know their worth. Got it. So this is what Nene had to say after the Bethenny Frankel situation.
You can say things and people will get it and they'll understand it. For a very long time, I have said that there's a lot of unfair treatment in different areas of the reality workspace. Reality stars do not receive benefits. They don't have any like health benefits, any residuals. There's no union for reality stars. Bethenny can say things and people will get it and they'll understand it. For a very long time, I have said that there's a lot of unfair treatment in different areas of the reality workspace. Reality stars do not receive benefits. Over and over and over and over again. They can run these shows for years and years and years and years and years, and you still will not get a dime from it. So I rest my case. I don't want to say too much more about it. I will let you guys see Bethenny's video. I feel like she will be supported a lot more than I would be supported.
And
so good luck.
So the sad part about that is that Nene had to add in the part of Bethenny will be supported more than I will be supported. And she's actually telling the bold truth that Bethenny has been supported, regardless of her speaking out against Andy in the past, regardless of her trashing him, trashing Bravo. She gets support from everyone. And Nene says anything about her experience, or, you know, tries to get justice for what she believes was done wrong to her, and she gets bashed. And the saddest part about it is Nene not only gets bashed by white people who support Bethenny or who support Andy Cohen and Bravo, but she gets bashed by her own race as well. I see a lot of black women and men commenting like, well, she's suing the network. What does she expect? Well, Monique sued Netflix and won, and y'all were laughing at Monique about that as well. Okay, and so I think what it's going to take is for Nene to be vindicated. More of these racial things on Bravo are going to have to start coming out. More people are going to have to start to stand up and speak out against what has been happening, because it's been a few times where Kenya and Candy have made little remarks here and there about Bravo and producers and things, but you can tell they don't really want to mess anything up, so they try to be the good token black girls like they've been chosen to be. But more is going to unfold, and I do believe more people are going to find out that Nene was telling the truth the entire time. Y'all just don't like the messenger. But I don't know why y'all don't like her. She's iconic. She's hilarious. She is what brought Housewives to where it is today. And you can say whatever you want to say. Yeah, Bethenny is an OG, and there's people like Teresa and whomever else, but none of them compare to the stardom of a Nene Leakes, and they don't compare to her effortlessly being entertaining and funny. So it's unfortunate that Nene doesn't get support. I'm hoping that she gets more support in the future, and I'm hoping that Nene will be vindicated, and I just want justice for Nene. So y'all let me know in the comments what you think about this topic. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn your post notifications on. Bye-bye.